going on, friends? Welcome to this episode of Under the Covers. I'm your host, Preston Schmidli, and I'm very excited about this episode because we're going to review a book that I just went through that I found quite transformational for myself. You know, time is something that, especially in the last few years, I've been prioritizing how I spend it more. I've been more intentional with time's something we just don't get back. And so looking at it as something we should be focusing on building things with it, enjoying it. And so I'm going to go over something that whether you're a mortgage professional, whether you're a sales professional, I don't really care what business you're in, you're going to have something magical to gain from this. We're going to be talking today in Between the Covers about Buy Back Your Time. This is the show where we do deep dives on books. As you can see, I love to read that have impacted me in a positive way, and I want to share with you. So in this book, Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. And if you don't know Dan's a really smart guy. He is the founder of SaaS Academy, where he teaches software founders how to essentially navigate the nuances of building a software. You know, I've had the privilege of learning some stuff from him, obviously indirectly through his content, but he's a really smart guy. And, you know, this book, I was surprised to see was from him because a lot of the stuff I've seen from him is more tactical about software. But Buy Back Your Time, as it says on it, get unstuck, reclaim your freedom, and build your empire. The reason you need to read this, really it should be required reading for everybody, is because time is such a precious resource. It's actually the most important resource you have. And depending on where you're at in your business, you might not feel that. You might be going, no, money's my most important resource. That's what I need right now. But in truth, he breaks down kind of the three levels of entrepreneur. And I don't want to give too much of the book away, but I do want to share some of the things that I thought were profound and why you need to pick it up. And the three levels are, first is you trade time for money. Now, this is what 95% of people do. They're trading time for money, whether it's they're working hourly, they're working salary. They literally have to put time into the machine and it spits out money, right? That's level one, entrepreneur, as he calls it, but really that's level one in life. Level two is where you flip that and now you're trading money for time, right? This is where you've had a business that you've been able to somewhat scale, and it doesn't have to be that far actually. And I'll go over some principles he talks over throughout the book, but you know, you've had some success, you're generating some revenue, and now you're taking some of the money you've generated and trading that in now for somebody else's time. And then the third level is to entrepreneurship, as he defines, is trading money for money. And he uses an example of Oprah, which I think is an extreme example, but I like extreme examples because they paint the picture very visibly, right? And he essentially he breaks down how Oprah is able to exchange money for money, and she's not, you know, she actually works out more than she works every day, because she's not, her time is not the mechanism that's being traded throughout the day for currency, right? So kind of a cool thing. Dan talks about a concept in the book called the Buyback Principle, and it's essentially a math equation to go, okay, if you're bringing in X amount of money, you can run it through this formula, and this is what you can afford to pay somebody to buy back your time, right? And then there's a lot of things that might be pulling you back, but he breaks down what you need to do that's most important. He talks about what he calls the drip matrix. And the drip matrix is essentially delegate, replace. I'm going to go there because I think it's important. Here we go. So the drip matrix is delegate, replace, investment, and production. So what he talks about is delegation is the stuff that realistically, it doesn't light you up and it doesn't make you much money, right? It's just stuff you just need to get off your plate yesterday. Okay. And he recommends this is like the quadrant that you start in, is this delegation quadrant. The next one is replacement. This is stuff that it makes you money, but it just doesn't light you up, right? It's stuff that you probably are doing right now as a business owner because you've justified to yourself, I'm the only one that can do this right, or some version of that. And so you're trading your time for money at something you hate, which drains you energetically, so you can't show up for the stuff that you're passionate about well. Right? So that's the next thing that has to go. So first you replace the stuff in the delegation quadrant, which is it drains you and it ain't making you money. Replacement is it drains you, but it is making you money. And so that's the second thing, is you should be doing it until there's nothing left to delegate, right? And then you move on to replacing yourself in the replacement quadrant. And then the investment quadrant. This is stuff that lights you up, but it's not really making money right now, right? And so this could be a lot of things. This could be being an advisor to a company. You're not going to see money until you exit, or they have some sort of large financial event. It could be spending time on spiritual stuff for yourself, if that's something you're interested in. Spending time at the local Boys and Girls Club. It's like, this is stuff that totally lights you up. There's just not much money in it, right? It doesn't have to be a financial investment. It could be an investment into your personal growth, your professional growth, sense of community and belonging, your sense of connection with a higher power. So that's the investment quadrant. That's the third quadrant. And then the production quadrant. This is stuff that lights you up and makes you money. And this is where you need to be. This is what this entire book is focused on, helping you get rid of the stuff that needs to be delegated, helping you replace yourself with the stuff that, while you are good at and is valuable financially, it's sucking the life out of you. I've been there. I know any entrepreneurs watch this video. If you've had any kind of, tenure owning a business, you know firsthand, there's a lot of things that fall into that, right? So that alone was a wonderful thing. But he breaks down one of my favorite things, because I'm actually in the process of this right now. Truthfully, as I shoot this video, I just shot the offer letter off to what I would consider a candidate that is phenomenal for an executive assistant for me locally here where I live in Arizona. And I'm very excited, because this book was one of two books that really empowered me. It gave me a roadmap for what I'm looking for, but more importantly than what I'm looking for, how to utilize properly an executive assistant to start to get our time back, right? And so this book gives that formula. So honestly, I would substantially recommend this. I have so much notes written throughout it. I'm big on writing notes. You guys can probably see I have stuff on almost every page. It's a really good read, and it's something that I think for any business owner, you don't have to be a business owner to get value from this. I think obviously the most value is going to be from business owners, but when you can figure out how to do some of these stuff, like I'll just go through the table of contents real quickly. I already went over the drip matrix. He goes over the 5 time assassins, which they're demons we all face in our own life. And these are the various forms in which we can either lose time through self-sabotage or through just the things that we tolerate and allow around us. He talks about the replacement ladder, which is essentially what I told you earlier, where you go from the delegation quadrant to the replacement quadrant. And this is where the stuff that you're good at is high value, but it's sucking the life out of you. He literally breaks down how to navigate that. Cloning yourself, which is chapter 6. This is where he starts to break down bringing an executive assistant into the ecosystem. And here's the cool thing about this, and I can tell you this because I've lived it. You could totally hire a virtual assistant somewhere like the Philippines for $3, $4, $5, $6 an hour, and they're amazing. I know this because at our company, Good Vibe Squad, about half of our companies in the United States, a little less than half, let's call it 40%, and about 60% of our company is in a city called Bacolod in the Philippines. We have a 5,000 square foot office there where we have somewhere between 30 and 40 team members, and it's phenomenal. We pay above average wages, and it's so valuable to us. I mean, the amount of productivity we're able to have for the cost it's unreal. So you might be going, well, Press, I can't afford an executive assistant. This sounds nice, but I'm not there yet. I would make the argument you are. You need to go through the book, especially look at the Buyback Principle. This is essentially the formula in which you determine how much you can afford to pay somebody else to take some of the stuff off of you. And you do that. And you figure out what that is, right? It's like pretty much anybody through the Buyback Principle will be able to pay $6 an hour, even part-time, right? So if you're looking at that and go, okay, well, all I can afford is $6 an hour part-time, there's a way to do that. And he goes over that in this book. You could totally deploy these concepts in Buyback Your Time, regardless of your financial situation. There are solutions if you're being resourceful with this. But yeah, honestly, I feel so much more empowered. I don't feel that way about every book, but this, and maybe it was just really timely for me because I am hiring an executive assistant currently right now. And I've been kind of over bandwidth, to be honest, for the last year or two. I have a high tolerance. I work a lot. So my ability to kind of continue to push through, it's high, but it's draining, and there's so much that I'm not able to do that lights me up and that I'm passionate about and that makes a lot of money, because I'm dealing with all kinds of stuff that I could totally delegate to somebody else that could be passionate about that. And that's kind of the interesting thing is as my friend James once said to me, he said, don't let me yuck your yum. And I thought it was funny at the time, but it's also really true. It's like what I don't like in work and there's plenty of things I don't like to do. There's other people they wake up every day hoping they get to do that, right? And so that's just one of the things I've learned is if you're transparent about your hiring processes and how you're going about, if you're being really specific and intentional about what you're looking for in these roles, you'll find people that really complement you well for the roles that you're looking to hire. So once again, final time I'll say it, I'm going to put a link down below if you're watching this on YouTube. Go pick up Buyback Your Time from Dan Martell. Everybody needs more time. And this is what matters. It's like I talked about those 3 different tiers where, level 1 is you're trading time for money. And then level 2 is you're trading money for time. You got to think about it like this, especially if you're still trading time for money. Money is infinite. The government's proven it. Now, I'm not trying to get political here, but when they feel like they want or need more, what do? They print it. When they wanted to support the Ukraine in that conflict, what did they do? They passed a bill, they printed money, and they shipped it away, right? Now, that causes inflation for you, and so we're stuck paying the bill long term, okay? But they can print money. Money's infinite, okay? Time, as all of our family members and our ancestors before us have proven, is very, very finite. We are very blessed if we get 100 years on this planet. We're very blessed if we get 40 productive, healthy, good, fun, inspiring years on this planet. Why would you waste that for $20 an hour, right? Now, nothing wrong with getting an hourly job, a salary job. Not here to talk crap about that. But you got to find ways to get in the resources, get in control of your resources, because money is infinite, time is finite. That automatically makes time more valuable. If you have a resource that is limited, it by mathematical definition is more valuable and rare than that is infinite. Okay? So you have to be really smart with the things you're spending time on. If you're spending time on stuff that you could pay somebody else to do, you got to get out of that yesterday, right? So this book will really give you a grasp on how to go about that, because it sounds kind of, arbitrary in nature. It's like, okay, that sounds great, Preston. How do I do that? Well, I'm telling you, it's in these pages. Dan did a phenomenal job of laying this out. I'm very impressed with this book. I've read a lot of time management books. One of my favorite ones is from Dan Kennedy. It's the No BS Guide to Time Management. There was another book I read, The CEO's Secret Weapon, which is about essentially time management through an executive assistant specifically, which was a great read if you're looking to hire an executive assistant. But this book was the one where I was like, it felt really holistic. It really did. So anyways, I'm done talking about it. Just go hit the link, pick up your copy. If you already got a copy, finish reading it. I would also recommend the Audible. I went through both the paper copy because there's a lot of like diagrams and stuff that I think are valuable to get your eyes on. I also went through the Audible so I could kind of bounce back and forth, because some things just hit differently when they're said and some things hit differently when your eyes see them. So that's my recommendation for this episode of Between the Covers. I hope you enjoy, and more importantly, I hope you get to live up to the name of this book. I hope you buy back some of your time. Life is short, and if we're not intentional with it, it goes by, and one day we're, hopefully, but most likely not, with family, in a nursing home, living in regret, saying, I wish I should have, I could have, I would have, right? Don't live with regret. Your time is so important. You're in control of it right now in this moment. You have things that you could do to value your time more, and this book will help you take control of that. So pick it up, hit the link below. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Between the Covers, and I will see you in the next video.